Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived a kind-hearted man named Thomas, with his loving wife, Eliza, and their two young daughters, Lily and Rose. They were a joyful family filled with laughter and warmth. Thomas and Eliza cherished each other deeply, and they showered their children with endless affection. The girls played in the meadows, picking wild flowers and chasing butterflies, while their parents tended to the small farm that provided for them all. But tragedy struck one fateful autumn day. Eliza fell gravely ill with a mysterious fever that no healer could cure. Despite Thomas's desperate efforts to save her, fetching herbs from distant forests and praying by her bedside, she grew weaker and weaker. Soon she passed away peacefully in her sleep, leaving behind a home shrouded in sorrow. Thomas and his daughters wept for weeks, their tears soaking the earth like rain. The once vibrant house now felt cold, silent, and hollow, echoing with memories of happier times. As the months dragged on, Thomas struggled to manage alone. He was a simple farmer, unskilled in the ways of the household. "I cannot prepare meals properly," he lamented to himself. "I cannot mend clothes or draw water from the well without exhaustion. My dear daughters need a mother's gentle guidance. I need someone to share this burden." His heart ached with loneliness, and he yearned for companionship to fill the void left by Eliza. One crisp spring morning, while selling produce at the village market, Thomas met a striking young woman named Victoria. She had raven black hair, sparkling emerald eyes, and a smile that seemed to light up the dreary day. They talked for hours about the weather, the harvest, and life's simple pleasures. Thomas felt a spark of warmth in his chest, something he hadn't experienced since Eliza's passing. Emboldened by this feeling, he gathered his courage and whispered, "Victoria, you have brought light back into my world. Please, will you marry me and become my wife?" Victoria studied him with a calculating gaze, her smile fading slightly. "I will marry you, Thomas," she replied after a long pause, "but on one condition. I have no desire to raise children who are not my own. Send your daughters away, far from this home, and then I will come to you." Thomas's heart twisted like a knife in his chest. How could he abandon his beloved girls? Yet Victoria's beauty and charm clouded his judgment. Perhaps in time she will grow to love them as I do. He convinced himself desperately. With a heavy sigh, he nodded. "Very well, I will send them away." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Thomas sat with Lily and Rose by the flickering hearth. His voice trembled with guilt as he explained, "My darlings, tomorrow I am to wed again. But my new wife, she does not wish for children in the house. You must hide in the old grain store at the edge of the farm. It will be dark and quiet, but you shall have food and shelter. I promise this is only temporary." The sisters clung to each other, their eyes wide with fear. Lily, the elder at 10 years old, squeezed Rose's hand tightly. "We trust you, Father," she said bravely, though her voice wavered. Little Rose, only 7, nodded silently, tears glistening in her eyes. The following day, Thomas brought Victoria home as his bride. To ensure the girl's survival, he devised a clever ruse. My dear Victoria," he said solemnly, "this grain store is sacred. The spirits of my ancestors dwell within, guarding our family. You must bring them offerings of food 3 times a day, for they are eternally hungry and must be appeased." Victoria, eager to please her new husband, agreed without question. Each morning, noon, and evening, she carried baskets of bread, cheese, and fruits to the store, leaving them just inside the door, hidden in the shadows among sacks of wheat and barley. Lily and Rose ate gratefully, whispering stories to each other to pass the time and clinging to the hope that their father would soon bring them back into the light. Weeks turned into months, and the sisters adapted to their confined life, though it was filled with hardship. They missed the open air, the songs of birds, and their father's bedtime tales. Victoria, meanwhile, grew accustomed to her routine, but suspicion began to brew in her mind. One sunny afternoon, while visiting the village hairdresser for a trim, she mentioned her duties. "I must hurry home," she said impatiently. "It's time to feed my husband's ancestors in the grain store." The hairdresser, a gossipy old woman named Mabel, burst into laughter. "Ancestors? Oh, my dear, that's no spirit realm. Thomas's daughters are hidden there. You're feeding those poor girls, not ghosts." Victoria's face hardened like stone, her eyes narrowing with fury. "That deceitful man has lied to me." She seethed inwardly. "Those wretched children are the reason my life isn't perfect." Rushing home in a rage, she stormed to the grain store without a basket. Instead, she slammed the door shut and bolted it with a heavy lock. "No more food for you, you sneaky brats," she shouted through the wood. "I won't tolerate you any longer." Inside, Rose burst into sobs. "Sister, we're trapped!" "We'll starve." Lily hugged her close, her mind racing. "Hush now. We'll find a way out. We must stay strong." When Thomas returned from the fields that evening, Victoria confronted him like a storm. "You tricked me, you fool! I know about those girls. Choose now, them or me. If you keep them, I'll leave you forever." Thomas's knees buckled under the weight of her words. He loved his daughters with all his soul. But fear gripped him, the fear of loneliness, of an empty bed, of facing the world alone again. Tears streaming down his face, he whispered brokenly, I will take them away tomorrow. Please stay with me." At dawn, with the mist still clinging to the trees, Thomas led Lily and Rose into the vast, whispering forest that bordered their village. "Come, my loves," he said softly, his voice cracking. "We're going on a little adventure." They walked for hours, the path growing wilder and more tangled. The girls' feet ached, and their stomachs grumbled from hunger. As the sun climbed high, Thomas stopped beneath a massive oak tree. "Rest here, my dears. Sleep for a while, and I'll watch over you." Exhausted, the sisters curled up on a bed of soft leaves and drifted off. In the deepening twilight, Thomas gazed at their innocent faces one last time. "Forgive me," he murmured, his heart shattering. Too cowardly to defy Victoria, he placed a sturdy branch between them to mimic his presence, then slipped away silently, vanishing into the shadows. He never looked back, haunted by his betrayal. Night fell like a heavy cloak. Rose stirred first, her small hand reaching out. "Father, Father, where are you?" she whimpered. Lily awoke and felt the branch. "He's gone," she realized, her voice steady despite the terror rising within. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees. "Sister, what's that?" Rose cried, clutching Lily. "A wolf," Lily whispered, spotting glowing eyes in the darkness. The beast prowled closer, its hunger evident in its snarls. Thinking quickly, Lily remembered their sturdy leather cloaks, gifts from their mother. "Our clothes are tough hide," she said. "Tear off small pieces and throw them to distract it." They ripped strips from their hems and tossed them into the underbrush. The wolf pounced on the morsels, chewing greedily before retreating into the night, satisfied for the moment. The sisters huddled together until dawn, shivering from cold and fear. As the first light broke, Rose's eyes filled with tears. "Father isn't coming back, is he?" Lily shook her head sadly. "No, but we can't give up. We must find our own way." Climbing the tallest tree she could find, Lily scanned the horizon. "There, I see smoke rising from a chimney. A grand house with fields of cows and sheep. It looks prosperous. Perhaps they'll help us." Hand in hand, they trekked through thickets and streams, arriving at the edge of the property as the sun set. A burly man emerged from the house, his frame towering and his eyes fierce like a storm cloud. He was a hunter named Reginald, known in whispers around the village for his cruelty to animals and strangers alike. "That man is dangerous," Lily warned, pulling Rose behind a bush. We must wait until he's gone." The next morning, as Reginald herded his livestock into the pastures, Lily sneaked inside the unlocked door. The kitchen was stocked with loaves of bread, jars of honey, and wheels of cheese. She grabbed what she could carry and dashed back to Rose. "Eat quickly," she urged. They survived this way for 3 days, Lily venturing in alone each time. On the 4th day, Rose insisted, "I want to help too, sister. I'm tired of waiting alone, and you're too slow sometimes." Lily hesitated, knowing the risks, but Rose's pleading eyes won her over. "All right, but stay close and be silent." They crept inside together. Lily swiftly gathered food, but Rose lingered, mesmerized by a shiny apple on the table. Suddenly, the door banged open. Reginald had returned early from his hunt. "Aha! Thieves in my midst!" he bellowed, seizing Rose by the arm. She screamed as he stuffed her into a rough burlap sack, tying it shut with coarse rope. "You'll hang like the vermin you are." He hoisted the sack to a beam on the roof and stormed out again, grumbling about his animals. Lily, hidden in the pantry, watched in horror, her heart pounding like a drum. Once the coast was clear, Lily climbed the ladder to the roof. "Rose, are you all right?" she called softly. "Up here, help me," came the muffled reply. With a sharp knife from the kitchen, Lily sliced the rope and freed her sister. "Quick, we must trick him," Lily said. Together, they filled the sack with heavy rocks from the yard, mimicking Rose's weight, and rehung it precariously. Then they fled into the woods, hiding behind a cluster of oaks to watch. Evening came, and Reginald returned, his temper foul from a fruitless hunt. Spotting the sack, he grabbed a thick stick and swung it viciously. "Take that, you wretched child," he roared. The blow snapped the rope, and the stones tumbled down. Crashing onto his head with a sickening thud, Reginald collapsed in a heap, motionless and silent, forever.